morning. I am here with Peggy Nuckolls. Peggy is the Director of Preschool Services and AKA main lady in charge for kindergarten registration. Peggy, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great.
Well,
Thank you.
I appreciate you joining us. I'll go ahead and let folks know. I think we may have a little bit of a lag, but I think it's still coming through okay. So, well, I wanted to have Peggy on this morning to talk about kindergarten registration. There's obviously a lot of parents in our area who have a little one who will be starting school next year, and with everything that is going on. And especially traditionally we've had an open house where kindergartners could come in and be registered, and we were unable to do that. So kindergarten registration looks a little bit different this year, but we wanted to make sure people who may be needing to take care of that, what they need to do in order to have their child registered for the 2020-2021 school year. So Peggy, tell us a little bit about how do people, because the open house has been canceled, how are you all handling kindergarten registration differently this year?
Yes. So March the 24th, we were supposed to have our first welcome to parents and orientation. Since we were unable to do that, we still have the online process. Parents, even before March 24th, could have went and registered online to get as much done as possible. And that process is still up and running, and we just need as many to register now using English and Spanish forms. And if they don't have access to those forms because of technology or their technology is not working, they can call the schools and we'll help them through that process.
Okay. And I've gone ahead and in the description for this post, I went ahead and added a link to where people can go to that registration link. So that's there, and they can go to that. If they go ahead and start doing the online registration, what type of information are they going to be expected to have? Are there going to be certain documents they're going to need to have? Are they going to need to provide those differently, as far as are they going to need to actually take those to the school? Tell us what they can expect with that.
Okay, on the questions online, it will ask you some questions about previous preschool experience or daycare experience. It will ask you questions about date of birth, parents, emergency contact information, and as far as documentation that they'll have to gather and bring to the school at some point in time is a certified birth certificate or proof of birth for some reason or some way. They will have to have a proof of county residency, which could be a power bill, a bank bill that has their name and address on it, and also a driver's license of the parent or guardian of the child. The other two really important things are immunizations and a wellness check. We do understand that wellness checks are kind of on hold right now, but as soon as possible, and some type of documentation saying that they are getting an appointment, but as soon as possible, any shot records or wellness check will need to be turned in, and typically that is no later than 30 to 60 days after school begins, but as soon as they can do it is best.
Okay. As far as they can obviously fill out the application online or the registration online, but the documents themselves, I think you mentioned that they will need to take those actually to the school that their child would be attending. What would you recommend that they do? Do they need to call the school? I would imagine they need to call and make sure someone's there. Is there any recommendation for what they need to do when they take those documents?
Yes. If at all possible, if they have access to a copier or a fax machine, certain things they can fax over. We do have to verify the license and a birth certificate though. Okay. So if they have those items, then certainly they would have to call the school and make arrangements to go drop that off and have those things copied there. Our front office staff are still there and are welcoming our new families and are taking copies as needed. We do have masks and gloves. We try to do things efficiently to try to keep people and make sure that we have social distancing as well.
Okay.
So anything they can send through electronic means is welcomed, but we are there to help people as needed.
Okay. Now, generally, the school system does conduct what you all call dial screenings, which is basically where children come in, you basically evaluate them to see, I guess, their kindergarten readiness. So what about those?
All right, so our dial screenings were going to be held in May. Since we cannot do that at this time, we are going to reschedule those. We feel they are very important to help teachers gain information about the child, to help us to make class rosters and to set up supports, and to know a little bit more about the child and let them know a little bit more about us as well. So as soon as it is safe to, we are going to open up a dial screening plan. We're hoping to do that still at each individual school. It may be later in the summer, closer to the beginning of school, but the things that we're going to be looking at are motor skills. We'll be looking at fine motor skills and gross motor skills, which are running and jumping and cutting and coloring, holding a pencil. We'll be looking at concepts, making sure that children know colors, shapes, and sizes of things. We'll be looking at language development and how they speak and articulate words, and also how they understand language. And we're also looking at self-help skills and social emotional skills. So how do they play with others? How do they attend to their needs as far as eating and going to the bathroom and letting someone know when they don't feel well?
Mm-hmm.
So those are things that we're looking for, and it just helps us to gather information and understand a little bit more about the child and the family, and help us to welcome them in and smoother and have a good transition and put them in the right placement.
Okay. Okay. As far as, you know, as we're looking at trying to get people to go ahead and register, I know sometimes we all have a tendency to wait until the last minute to do things. But why is it so important, especially from the school system's perspective, for folks to go ahead and take care of that registration? What does that help you all with, and also in turn help the student or the new kindergarten student?
So it helps us to be able to create supports and have supports around the students that are coming. If we know the number of students that are coming, then we have the teachers in place. If we don't know, and say the last week of school, 20 to 50 kids come and register, then we may not have the teachers in place. And that puts us in a very bad situation of having to hire quickly and maybe not quality.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that all of those numbers are coming in as soon as possible, so that we can hire quality teachers as needed to keep those resources in our schools.
Okay. And I think that's, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I don't think people realize that when we know the numbers of students we're going to have, that, you know, that impacts us so much in terms of who we're going to be hiring. And again, what you mentioned as far as the quality of what we're able to, you know, we want to get the best early on. So, well, Peggy, I appreciate you spending time with us this morning and talking about kindergarten registration. I know there's probably a lot of parents who are, can't believe they've got a little one getting ready to head off, but I know they'll be in good hands with Davie County Schools. So is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, just the fact that we are eager to welcome new families. If you have any questions, call your homeschool, call your principal. They're there to help you. The schools are closed to students, but they're not closed to our adults who are working and are there to support you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Peggy, and I hope this will help with registration. I hope you all have a good turnout, and again, I appreciate you spending time with us, and I hope you have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you, Peggy.